Hello, welcome to Free Will, Science, and Religion. I'm Chandler Klebs, and I'm here with George Ortega, Mitch J., Anthony Bishop, and WSD Time, also known as Will. And we're going to be talking about some strategies for getting the message out to the world about this no free will thing. Because we have talked a lot about why we don't have free will and why it's important, but the third phase is just getting it out there, getting people talking about it, because otherwise nobody gets the benefits of giving up free will belief can help in their lives. So yeah, we need to talk about strategies exactly how to go about this. And George and I, and Anthony was there too in the podcast yesterday, talked about some ideas, but we can just go from here and talk about it.
All right, so yeah, let's focus again on the not-for-profit, because basically, Mitch, what we were talking about yesterday was that like whether we want to create an app or we want to like raise funds, to do some advertising, whatever, the not-for-profit status is the foundation to this. So basically, like, Chandler was like, Chandler, talk about like your concerns about starting a not-for-profit. Maybe we can talk about that because, like, many people think this is like a very complicated thing to do. Really, it isn't. It's quite simple.
Yeah, and obviously I don't know much about having any I mean have nothing about companies or organizations or business or even communication with humans. I talk to you guys, but I'm so antisocial that I suck at at having an organization. But yeah, I mean, you just gotta understand I'm a little bit wary of anything involving legal stuff, government, money, all of those things that are important for getting the word out. But I don't know. I guess I have concerns about things. I don't know.
So, Mitch, I mean, have you looked into this at all? Because I have in the past. I mean, like, can you like assuage Chandler's concerns?
Chandler, what are your primary concerns? What's the?
Okay, well, for one thing, I hate government, absolutely, and
Oh
I
yeah, I can agree on that one.
yeah, and so part of the idea of applying to be a legally recognized organization by the government, there's something about that that's a little bit strange to me. That's sort of like, getting legally married. While I'm not saying it's a moral problem to do so, I guess I just have this is sort of a personal thing with me. You know what I mean? It's not that particular part of it isn't saying we shouldn't do it. It's just that I don't feel like I don't know, it makes me uncomfortable. But a second concern I have is, when there's money involved, it's about, how is money obtained? How is it spent? How will that all work? Will there be, like, I don't know, treasure, and will things done with any money that's donated, will it be like a unanimous group decision, or will there be a small government within our nonprofit organization over what's done?
All right, Chandler, before Mitch addresses this, I just want to address one thing you said. You said you hate government. You're buying into a major Republican talking point. In other words, they want to destroy government. Government, you have to understand, government is us, is we the people, by the people, of the people. That's what government is. Now, like businesses try to take over
But at the
government
same
through
time, they want
through
big government.
hold on, WSD. Businesses try to take over government like through campaign finance and through lobbying and all. But you got to understand, Chandler, government, in other words, like the benefits that poor people get, the discrimination laws that don't allow people to like take advantage of people and stuff. That is government. Don't buy into that Republican spin that government is bad. It's the people that like the Republican Party and a lot of the rich that want to control the government and want to minimize government so they have the freedom to abuse and discriminate people. All right, it's a very important point.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that there aren't good things that can be done by government. And of course, I'll have to say a lot of the problem is that, well, yeah, sure, it's of the people, and the people are corrupt, and part of it is their belief in free will. But I guess maybe this is just the way things are in my past, and a whole lifetime of experiences that obviously led me to the way I feel about this. I just I I find that more often than not, like when we get into legal things, I'm always just worried about something going wrong.
All right, so Mitch, yeah, I hear you, Mitch. Address that. What do you, what would you say to Chandler's, financial concerns?
The first issue is that this is going to be a small organization that we're starting with. So, I understand your reservations considering that human organizations, after a certain amount of time, there comes a conflict. There's always this conflict between what the organization wants and what individuals want. So there's a struggle between individuals and groups. However, we're talking about the beginning of something. The main purpose of doing this nonprofit or not for profit would be that through Twitter, for example, when I find other free will skeptics, I could tell them about our organization and they could contribute and help us in a very streamlined, official kind of way. Whether that be in the form of fundraising or writing content or um, meeting face to face or distributing any kind of information through the media or giving speeches. Without this central body, without this organization, it's very difficult to sort of uh, unite free will skeptics and try to get any kind of momentum going forward. Like, quite often, for example, I encounter people who are interested in this idea of free will skepticism. They're just not knowledge about it. And occasionally they even become convinced, like, oh, yeah, you're right. There's no free will. What do I do now? So by having this body, it helps this organization, it gives us a place to direct interested parties. Instead of describing ourselves as a loose group, a loose collective of free will skeptics, we can be something more than that.
But address Chandler's concern about he's afraid of the business aspect of it. Can you calm his fears about that?
Oh, well, this is a non-profit or not-for-profit, one or the other. I'm not sure
Same
which
thing.
model would be best for us.
It's the exact same thing. Not for profit,
Um,
non-profit, same thing.
so all the money would be going directly to the cause. That's about it. I don't really see what the issues are.
All right, here, basically, Chandler, the reason people incorporate, if you have a business, you incorporate, and by incorporating, you're not personally liable for any losses or, the corporation getting sued and all. In other words, that's the corporation. The worst that can happen is the corporation gets sued, it gets bankrupt, it gets dissolved, but you're not personally responsible. And that's the advantage of starting a not-for-profit. It works the exact same way. We're just like protected from personal liability in the case that some financial whatever happens.
Well, yeah, maybe I'm worried over nothing. Because, like, I mean, it does sound like a good idea, the idea of having a centralized focus of all our efforts rather than just being, scattered all over the place as a bunch of free will skeptics who talk to each other. But so I mean, I like what Mitch was saying. And so what you're saying, George, is basically no person's going to be like sued or sent to jail or something like that necessarily through their participation in this organization, right?
Exactly. That's the reason for incorporating it. It protects the people from personal liability. And as Mitch was saying, like that's just like the protection part. As Mitch was saying, it also kind of like makes it much easier to raise funds to conduct business. We create a not-for-profit, and we created a bank account for it that doesn't belong to any one of us. It belongs to the not-for-profit.
Yeah. Um, well, yeah, and so yeah, maybe I don't have that much to be worried over. But here's the thing now. I still am wondering. Okay, so money that's contributed goes into the bank account of the not for profit, but then I guess we could discuss what kinds of things would that money be used for, and what determines how and when that money is spent.
Okay, I mean, anybody want to address that? That's pretty straightforward.
That's actually a good question. I'm trying to wrap my head about that one.
Go
Chandler, I
ahead,
think you're
Mitch.
really, really getting ahead of yourself. I don't really see what the issue is. I'm not even sure why you assume we would have any money to start with. You
Well,
know,
Well,
no, no.
fundraise.
right.
We have to
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mitch.
I don't know.
first we have to do fundraising. We have to convince. First of all, we'd have to have a project. Okay, we'd have different positions, different officers. So we'd have a secretary, a treasurer, et cetera, and so on.
Right. I know
You would,
that, yeah. I get what you're saying. That comes much, much later, but I guess I'm the kind of person who worries over
uh-huh.
things that will happen
But
far in.
before you can worry about how the money is spent, we have to have projects. So we would create a project. We'd think about it, think about the idea, think about if we need any money at all for the project. Then once we realize we need money for those projects,
Then have to
we
make a
would go through
campaign and all of that.
absolutely,
Yeah,
exactly. Then we
yeah, a
would go
lot of
through a
planning.
fundraising campaign in order to pay for the costs of those specific projects. And that's all we would be doing.
Well,
Yeah.
again, like right, the not-for-profit comes before everything, though. In order to raise funds, we need a not-for-profit because people are going to be like, be very reluctant to contribute to an individual.
Yeah, exactly. What are people who to what entity are people going to be donating funds to? that's that's so the not-for-profit helps us ironically to sort of stop corruption actually to make it keeps us on our toes because we have to file paperwork, we have to keep track of everything we do lest we be audited by the government, for example. So
Yeah, it sounds like the benefits outweigh any scenario that I can imagine that things might go wrong, I suppose. So I guess I'm not as worried as I started out. So I guess we could talk about like what will be our mission statement? Like what will be the how to communicate what our organization is, what it's called, what it's about exactly. How would we communicate that?
Good questions, Chandler. It's pretty basic. Basically, like, something like the Free Will Refutation Association International, whatever. You might want to put that in the title. And, we select, first of all, to incorporate as a not-for-profit. Part of the incorporation is like you select a board of directors. So that might be like five of us. And, all we have to do is like meet once, twice, three times a year. We can do it through Skype. And so then we select the staff who could be part. The board of directors can also be this part of the staff. So basically, it's like any kind of business, any kind of organization. You create leaders. You create a kind of like a system, a simple like majority vote, whatever, for making decisions. You might want to create a director, a manager, whatever. But those are
Make it
good
into like a
questions.
political party type thing then.
Yeah, we want it to be somewhat democratic, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Mm.
who would be like starting out this board of directors, this staff, whatever? Who would these people be?
us.
Exactly.
Really need someone who can push us forward and make us stronger. Someone who's strong as well, very upspoken and stuff, and yeah, some of that, pretty much.
Yeah, but I like I said, you're getting ahead of yourself. This is what George is saying. Okay, right now, if you ran into someone and you had to tell them what is your interest in free will, what is your involvement in this, right now, all you'd be able to say is, well, there are a couple people that I kind of work with. Sometimes I do this podcast, and that's my I wrote a book about it. And it get it makes it simplifies the whole process. It goes like this. Oh, well, I'm on the board of the free will, no free will organization. I don't know. We can brainstorm titles later. I don't know what title George mentioned the first time. Okay, so you say, look, I'm on the board of the No Free Will organization. Here's our mission statement. We are a network of free will skeptics who work together to inform the public that free will is bogus, and that by recognizing this truth of reality, we can work towards a more honest, rational, compassionate global society. You can give the mission statement, you give the website, they know exactly what you're about, and they know exactly what products your organization is about. So you don't have to keep on saying, well, I'm part of this, but I don't do this. It makes it easier for us to really create this revolution that we're trying to create.
Yeah, I get what you're saying because that way, when someone asks me, I can refer them to most likely a website, and they has a mission statement explaining it all, who the staff is, all of that, so that I don't have to answer questions off the top of my head and go based on memory about, well, I'm this dude who records podcasts with these other dudes. Like, yeah, I get what
Right.
you're saying there.
So if you're concerned about the positions, like what positions we'll have once we're started, the different offices that we'll have, well, that would be those people would be us. So, for example, Chandler, you could be the treasurer. You,
Oh,
someone like you or me, or Mike Walsh, or George, or Anthony. You know, one of us. You know, this is where these positions would come from. They would come from this network of people.
yeah. And now here's a question, guys. Now, I know there's a lot of people who join us for podcasts, and yet I imagine not everyone who's ever been on a co-host on the podcast may be interested in being part of this nonprofit organization. I mean, I definitely know I want to, and I definitely expect George and Mitch and Mike Walsh and Trick to be, but I don't know how I don't know, like how serious are some of our co-hosts, and like how many people are willing to devote that much time of their life to this no free will message.
Well, here's another advantage of having this organization. There's only one treasurer. We don't need every person in our collective to share the same burden. For most people, this is how I imagine this working. For most people who will be involved in this, their only role will be to, let's say, maybe donate a few dollars or just to add their name to a list. That's it. You add your name to a list, you're part of the organization. We don't need everyone to donate a lot of time or even any time. However, I think it's very beneficial if we can have a list of people, something to indicate these are all the people that who are interested in this no free will issue. That's really important. So, for example, uh, there might be someone who's on the mailing list for this podcast, right?
Yeah,
And that person may not have participated in any podcast recently, or not. Okay, right? Because we don't have an organization, that person is basically invisible. Okay, such persons are invisible. They're not documented anywhere. They have no connection with us. The only way anyone could ever find out about them, the only way anyone could ever find out how far our message has spread, is if those persons appear on the podcast. But if we have an organization, we could have a list of all our members. We could have all kinds of different members. We could have board members, and we could have affiliates. We could have people who've just donated money. And so it creates a stronger connection in this community than we have now.
yeah. I get what you're saying there because yeah, I guess I'm just not very good at thinking large group, as far as how not each person has a job that they know how to do and that suits them, and so it's not yeah, it would be hardly a burden on anyone because it's all split up among us all, and I guess I'm not thinking about that rightly.
And Chandler, another advantage of the organization is like, we tend to specialize in understanding the issue of free will, but we could bring people into the organization that may not be, up on all this as well as we are, but maybe they know the business angle. Maybe they know how to fundraise. Maybe they know the accounting. So, it allows us to bring more people into it to fit the administrative roles and to fit these, maybe we get like an advertising person. No, somebody knows how to market.
Yeah, and I definitely like Mitch's the thing he said about having a list, Because yeah, we have to have a list of all the people and at what level they contribute. Sort of like how George, on the Free Will Science and Religion WordPress site that you set up, how it has a list of some of the co-hosts and links to different things they've done. So yeah, something like that, but for the organization, um, listing more specifically about each person.
Exactly. So for example, on Twitter right now, independently, uh, for any listeners out there, I manage a website called freewillisfalse.com, and and there's also a very active Twitter page that I update at Free Will is False, no Free Will Network at Free Will is False. So I'm working as a social media engineer, whatever they call it, social media expert. I'm doing a lot of SEO duties. But if we had this organization set, maybe there's someone else who could be willing to do this job instead of me, or could help me do this job. That's an option that would be available to us. So things like that. So we know specifically who's working on what and who's helping us to achieve the goals that we want. Greg Caruso and Dirk Paraboo, I've mentioned them before. These are well-known hard incompatibilists. Um, they and others have started recently something called the Justice Without Retribution Network. The goal of that organization is to use free will, use this knowledge that free will is bogus in order to amend the criminal justice system. It's a noble cause, and I'm glad they're doing it, but it's a very intellectual sort of thing. So they're trying to contact people who are policy changers, lawyers and philosophers, people of that ilk. Whereas I think we could reach out more in the educational area. We could be an organization that's dedicated to promoting to informing the public about this issue, giving speeches and lectures, things like that. That's how I imagine uh, this organization being built upon. That's how I
Yeah,
imagine.
Mitch, I'm the same page there because, like, basically Paraboom and Caruso, these guys are academics. They're going to be probably working behind the scenes or probably working on publishing academic articles in academic journals, peer-reviewed journals, where, our part in this, because we can work with them, absolutely. Our part would be to amplify what we're doing, what they're doing, plus, come up with strategies of our own that they may not be focused on.
Exactly. I mean, if the organization that Caruso and Paraboom and others created was not the way it is, I would suggest that we just join them. But they have a different goal. So I think it's up to us. It's up to us to really create this organization to help direct interested parties and to help us have this stable sort of base so we know exactly what roles everyone will be
Yeah,
will be playing.
there's a certain irony in that it's up to us to start this organization that explains how nothing is up to us.
Exactly.
Well,
Um,
I know
okay.
y'all have podcasts, but okay, like, I think I can think of is word of mouth for now. That's all I feel that y'all have at the moment.
I mean, it's like myself. Like I come on to the podcast like every so often. I'm not on it all the time, but I try and get on as much time as I can and all of that. And I look after my mum as well at the same time, so I have to try and help her because of being in a wheelchair and all that. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It is great what we've got going so far, and it does sound like to the extent that we create this not nonprofit organization and have it clear what we're doing. rather than having to come up with something on the spot each time somebody wants to know. Yeah, it sounds like a good idea. And so, yeah, I guess I suppose that list is the first thing we need, isn't it? The list of which people we are.
Well, Chandler, actually, before that, we're going to need a project manager for this. I think, you're working on this podcast. I've got a few other, projects. I'm not sure, I'm the right person for this. Actually, somebody who's younger, I think would be much better for this. Maybe Mitch, maybe Quade, and, somebody to head it up. But like, what we're doing now is kind of like starting that process, basically, hopefully Trick and Quade and some of the other hosts will join us on other podcasts, and we can explain to them what we've already gone through, what we've talked about, what we're talking about now, get them up to speed on this. And so we'll go about finding someone. And who knows, maybe in a month or two I'll want to do this, or one of you guys will want to do this. But we just that I think is the first step, to just find somebody to manage this. And then you're right, Chandler. Then we need to pick the who's going to be on the board of directors, who's going to be on the staff and all. So, but first, we really need somebody to kind of like to really stay with this, to keep us motivated, to just organize it.
Yeah, yeah, that's very important. I not I'm not sure exactly who it'll be, but obviously it will have to be somebody who doesn't have already too much going on in their life.
All this is starting to sound like me. Only thing is, I'm not a very organized person.
Oh, I'm right
Same here.
there with you, Will. I am so disorganized, it's not even funny.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, same here. It
Well, I think
reminds me of being back at school again.
I don't see why it has to be one person though. I think we can all contribute. This is not going to be something that has to be about one person. We all contribute. Like basically, we just have to get the most basic paperwork done to just say yes, this is an organization.
Here's a question that might be relevant. Where, like, because I know that there's laws, like George mentioned, there for having an organization in different states, there are different laws, and of course, in different countries, there's different laws about the requirements for an organization. So here's my question: would this organization be done according to New York state law? Since, I mean, I think that would be convenient since most of you guys are in New York.
Well, well, yeah. Like I said, I don't know how the laws in Philly, and
Yeah,
right
and
now,
that,
my current position, I can't afford to just run to New York every. Yeah.
guys, that really depends. Since we have the advantage of being in different states, I think we want to keep this in the United States. I would guess. Um, Different states have easier, requirements for establishing not-for-profits, for running them. Certain states are more advantageous to this than others. So that's one consideration. But also, Mitch, to address your other concern is, yes, absolutely. Like, have one person to kind of manage it, but certainly the person's role as a manager is to divide the tasks. This person shouldn't be expected to do. That's actually the person's main role. Get somebody to do for example, the articles of incorporation. Somebody to write the mission statement. Somebody to just perform all these various tasks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it all sounds very exciting. I guess it's just so easy to try to think so far ahead in the chess game that you're not playing the game anymore. It's like one move at a time.
Well, again, to give it to you, some chess masters have been known to move 12 moves ahead, and that's not easy.
Oh yeah.
Trust me, I tried.
Yeah. Um,
Depends. If it's a forcing combination, it's not that bad.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, perhaps we'll also continue this in emails as well as in podcasts. Yeah, when we'll figure out somehow who's the project manager and how they manage that. Because I'm yeah, I mean it's all sounding really good, but I guess I don't even know how the grocery store that I run for works. Like I don't know business. I don't even know what it's like to have like yeah, I've never even actually served on jury duty and been in a room with people that had to discuss such a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
Chandler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not
Same
sure
here.
either. Again, you've got your hands full with this podcast. Also, you're doing a great job just uploading them, cataloging them all. So we can look to someone else. And
yeah,
again, maybe we've got Ryan McKenna, we've got Quaid, we've got some new people. If some of us are too busy or don't have the necessary experience and skills, sure.
yeah. And yeah, I mean, so I'm sure something will work out. And obviously, we're not saying that we have to get all figured out within a week or something like that. So I guess, um, but yeah, this does sound like it will provide certain advantages, because with every other organization, whether they are a whether they're a political party, whether they're a business like Hy-Vee is, or like any store that sells anything is, or even like religious organizations, they've all got a website. They've all got a frequently asked questions, a mission statement, what they do. So it would provide a sort of professional appearance to have an organization, to have it all just laid out so that no question is left unanswered for somebody who is curious, that has recently discovered that free will is an illusion, and yet they don't know where to go from there, like Mitch was saying.
Right. In terms like, for example, we'll need a website. Now, Trick is a designer. He knows how to design things. He knows the software and all. So maybe we can like get him together with a team to like create the concepts. That's one angle. Um, some of us, Mitch, you're working on the Twitter to get like to get more and more people involved. Those Twitter followers that you have could be the beginning of our member base.
That's
So like,
exactly what I was thinking about. Like, for example, on Twitter, I think I mentioned this earlier in the podcast, as well as in previous podcasts. Twitter has some lists. Now, the way Twitter lists work is uh, the account holder can look at other Twitter users and add them to his list, or, or I should say, Twitter users on their own can find this list and join the list voluntarily. So I have a Twitter list with like, I don't know, over 200 free will skeptics. Only fewer than a dozen of them have actually found the list and then subscribed to them. Instead, I found them. But I could contact all those people and say, hey, we're starting an organization. Just click here, you're part of it. That's it. And I think many of those people would be more than willing to help the cause.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I never even heard of Twitter having something about lists. I actually don't know much about Twitter.
Indeed.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I don't.
So right. So what we're doing now is brainstorming this. We're like figuring out what needs to be done. We're voicing our concerns. We're kind of like pooling our resources. Some of us know certain aspects of this. Others of us know other aspects. But again, like just more generally, this is what we need to be doing. Because like I mean, like I don't know how many listens the podcast is getting on iTunes. That's listed on the Internet Archive posting. And I've noticed we rarely get more than like 50, whatever, 100 on YouTube. So basically we're doing a lot of good work, but it's limited by our reach. We really have to expand our reach, and then maybe we can get like thousands of iTunes listens, and then Facebook or YouTube views. Because to be able to do all the work we're doing without the reach, it's like we've so far not been paying nearly as much attention as we, I think, could and should to this very important component.
Yeah, all these projects we're interested in, right? Many of you have written books. I'm considering writing a book. We have the podcast. We have these TV shows. We talked about future projects, making apps. All these projects have to be under an umbrella. If not, it's really unclear who's doing this and how people can find everything. If there's a central hub for all of these things, that helps us accomplish the goals we really want to accomplish. So this is the point, this podcast should be a project of this organization. The books you've written should be books that are part of this organization. Everything should be under the umbrella of this organization.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Mitch. The stuff that we are already doing, the stuff we've already done
Yes.
related to this free will thing, yeah, we take that existing stuff and declare that this is part of this organization, basically.
Absolutely.
Certainly.
Yeah. Here's another thing I've thought about is like, let's suppose that each person, those who are willing to, who's part of the organization, let's say that they recorded a 1 or 2 minute video stating that they're part of the organization and why. You know what I mean? Because then that lets all the people who follow them, whether it's their YouTube, their Google Plus, their Twitter, their Facebook, all those people who follow them see that, and they know that person, and they think, oh, well, this person is part of this organization. Because I think people who are not like me, who are not autistic weirdos, they think more about people. They know people. They trust people that they've followed for a long time and what they're into. And so then having those people that they already know as part of our organization gives it, will draw people to it, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right, so let's focus on then, because we can kind of use this as a meeting. So like we'll need maybe 5 board members. The more, see, 'cause, like the thing with the board is like people have to be able to, like, again, there's only 2 or 3 meetings that we have to have a year, but if it's a fewer number, it's much easier to have them done, and you have somebody who takes minutes, whatever. And like with 5, I think that that allows for not having ties and stuff. In other words, if we had 6, and we couldn't take a vote maybe. So like so that's part of it. And then just let's think of the roles. We need somebody to write the mission statement, somebody to come up with the membership strategy, the expanding, somebody to do the website, the graphics and all. Does anybody have other ideas in terms of what other personnel would need?
hmm.
I mean, we could see if we can get some like religious people on our side as well, and that to join the group and all that, because that would
Yeah, there's a good chance that isn't going to happen when it comes to religion.
no, no, but I mean, if you think about it, I mean, we've been asleep for all this while, and we didn't even know what was going on outside the box technically, because we're all like subdued when we're young anyway and little, so we don't even know what else is going on and that. So in a way, getting woken up and having this idea and stuff like about no free will, it kind of hits you where it needs to just to wake you up properly.
Hmm.
Yeah, I see what
Mitch, your audio is sort of cutting
How,
out sometimes.
Yeah, Mitch, you might want to like
how,
come out of the call and Chandler
Yeah,
just like
I thought that was my mic.
I think it's Mitch.
Mitch. I don't know if you can hear me. Just a lot of times if you just come out of the call and come back in, that'll fix that.
okay.
Chandler, make sure you add him, right?
Okay,
And it's still breaking up.
so let's see. Okay, so he left, and then I guess I click on his name and then add him back. Or let's see. Okay, let's see.
All right.
Where's?
Is that better?
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you are. Okay. So what were you saying, Mitch?
I'm thinking about this very incrementally. The first problem, the first hurdle to overcome is paperwork. We need to find out what initial fees or paperwork has to be done. That's the first thing to do. I think if we get past that barrier, then the rest it'll just come a lot easier. You guys agree with that assessment?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except here,
Yeah.
I mean, like, but Mitch, I mean, we may want to because, like, you got to understand the laws are different in each state. So, in other words, yeah, if
Yeah.
one of us in New York State is going to like, you know, file for the articles of incorporation, then certainly we look into the New York State laws. But if somebody's going to do it in a different state,
Like
um,
Pennsylvania.
right, whatever. So, like, um, maybe because yeah, I don't know where Ryan and Quaid are. You know, I think one are they both in Canada? Because they actually may be.
Um,
Um,
yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know exactly. I know the Trick's in Canada, but
What about
right,
the
because
UK?
No,
Anthony,
I
you're
know
in.
Anthony's in the UK,
Yeah, I'm from the
and
UK
somebody
and Germany
mentioned
as well.
I'm in the closest one to y'all is actually me because I'm in Philadelphia.
right, and so I mean, part of this may be like that we actually may want to have chapters or whatever in different countries. One in Canada, one in the UK. So absolutely.
Yeah, one step at a time. I think only because uh, not really just the majority of us, but some of the key members of this organization really. I don't know how to say the key members. Well, some of the key members are in New York. Like George, you're in New York. I'm in New York. Nick, who is infrequently on the show but is a key member, he does the TV shows. He's in New York. We could arrange meetings for all of us to come together. We can go wherever we have to go, whether it's England or Canada. I'm sure we could arrange somehow to meet up
Well,
once a year or something.
well, I
Yeah.
mean, Mitch, we could also like have these calls through Skype. These
Yeah, that
meetings.
calls right now. The calls will
Yeah.
be cheaper than traveling the world.
yeah. Um, yeah, for the
Yeah,
most
cause
part, location won't matter that much. It's just that the whole thing, yeah, about how laws are different in each location, which is kind of strange. And yet, as far as what we're doing, educating people on the fact of no free will and how it helps people, yeah, obviously it's for the benefit of everyone everywhere on the planet.
All right, guys, I'll tell
yeah,
you if we talk about this two more podcasts, let's get a few more people in on this. Then I'll do this in New York. I'll establish because look, I've looked into this
yeah,
before and it really is simple. It's just basically getting the form, filling it out, and then sending it in, and we're incorporated. But
Yeah,
I just want to make sure we're committed to this. So let's meet, another two times, with a few more members. Chandler, after this meeting, why don't you send out an email to the entire group, tell them of our plans, and tell them about the importance of like coming to the next, let's say the next two Sunday podcasts. We'll also discuss this on Saturday because again, there's a lot to discuss. And see, this is like we're just starting this, so like a lot of it is about motivation. Right now, our motivation is kind of like tenuous. The more we invest ourselves into this, the more it'll just take on a life of its own. But we really need to, meet a few times to make sure we solidify this.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's the thing. Because we want to make sure that as many people as possible who are already part of our podcasts have had their chance to talk about it, because so far um, we haven't even discussed it with Trick, I don't think.
Well, no, Trick's aware of it because Mitch brought it out before. I think Mitch sent it out in an email, recently suggesting this. And Mitch, if you'd prefer to take this on, definitely, because especially with your academic credentials, that'd be good.
Yeah, so it's cool, and definitely we'll want to discuss what the actual name will be to where everyone's happy with the name.
Yeah, I think we want to get international into it, just
Yeah.
like so we don't have to change it when we become international. I mean, we're already 3 countries, which is pretty cool. Um, and free will, I think, should be part of the title. And see, here's the thing: like, several of us have made the point that the term skeptic isn't the greatest term because if you look it up literally, it means, well, you're kind of like, you're not sure about it, you're skeptical about it. Whereas, like, refutation or what other words have we come up with? Free will. Oh God, there's another one, and this is
I
important.
said rejectionist.
Exactly. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, or what about Free Will Incompatibilists International?
No, no, no. People have no idea what that means.
Yeah, I mean we do, but we're nerds.
Right. Rejectionists. I mean, that's interesting. Um, all right. We'll have to.
Yeah, you better prepare for those because you gonna go more open. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's gonna you gonna come up with more of those.
And so, like, so basically, we've already pretty much almost got it done. Like, no, the international free will blank, either organization or association, unless you guys can think of a different term. But that pretty much says it, right?
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, something like that, yes. Oh, like international free will, and then blank, like what type of.
Could be refutation. I don't know, the free will refutation, but like that's too, I think, academic of a word.
Yeah, we need words that everybody understands. People who are completely new, because word like refutation, I never even heard that word before listening to George's show.
Right. Rejection is good, but it's kind of like a bit, part of our problem is that, like, I think, at this stage in the whole mission, we need to use the word free will. But then part of our problem is like we're kind of like advancing a negative. Something doesn't exist instead of what does exist.
Well, I do
And that's the hard
have
part.
my websites. I have freewillisfalse.com, the Twitter account. I even have a Facebook page right now, but the Facebook page is automatically updated with the Twitter page. So it's really just an extension of the Twitter page. Whenever the Twitter is updated, something gets posted on the Facebook.
Cool.
And like I said, the name I use is the No Free Will Network. So,
I I gotta
well,
admit, I do love that name.
that's the
Well, the International No Free Will Association or the International No Free
yeah.
Will. See
Yeah,
network.
no, yeah, I like that. I like no free will. I like having that in the title. Is what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta kind of like think about that because like sometimes people and you gotta understand people a lot of times people aren't all that swift and all. Sometimes people will and are actually are people who are against us will start saying, well, they want to take your free will away from you. They don't want you to have free will, So um, we got to keep in mind the political aspects of the messaging. No free will, yeah. We've used it in our Manhattan show. It does, it is very clear. It's very direct.
Here's an idea. What about International No Free Will Foundation?
Well, the foundation implies that we're going to give money away.
Oh,
So,
I don't. Yeah, I didn't know it implied that. um,
Or you could call it the non-foundation.
the non-foundation.
I like the no free will organization.
Yeah.
Smart, direct, straight to the point. And the international part can be added on. If
Actually,
we be
assuming there's women in it as well and stuff, because I suppose we're going to get women on it as well, because otherwise it'd be sexist and all that. You could call it, I suppose, in a way, you could call it like the international gender lists.
Well, no, we'll get women in, but
Yeah, but
we'll be inclusive.
yeah, I do like that whole no free will organization, because we've got to have no free will in the title, because that is so important. And then I guess it really is just a matter of whether network, association, organization, which of those words has the best understood meaning to the general public.
Yeah, I agree with Mitch. I think I like organization. I think it's a stronger word than association.
Well, yeah, because organization implies that we're organized, which we'll want to be. We'll work at it. Yeah, yeah. So that does sound pretty cool. Yeah. I think, yeah. As Mitch said, we'll work on this incrementally, and we'll get the ball rolling with this. We'll continue to talk about it more in future podcasts, and yeah. Um,
Yeah, if you guys want, I mean, like we have discussed this. Again, we'll talk about it next Sunday, the Sunday after. But if you want to kind of like close this one, Chandler, and we can talk about something more directly related to the mission. I mean, if everybody wants to do that, that'd be cool.
yeah. What do you guys think?
And I think everything's cool. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Same here.
Yeah. Okay then. So I'll end this one, and then we'll start a new one possibly.
Well, give me about 5 minutes, because actually I'm gonna leave this one for now. Actually, I'll probably be back next Sunday or something, because I've got to take my mum to the loo and all that. I've got some business to do as well to take care of.
Sounds good, Anthony.
Yeah,
Okay.
you all take care.
All right.
Okay.
Talk to you
Yeah,
soon.
you too.
All right, you stay safe.
All right. So, you've been listening to Free Will, Science, and Religion with Chandler Klebs, George Ortega, Anthony Bishop, WSD Time, and Mitch J. And we've been talking about starting a nonprofit organization and how we'll go about it a little bit. And it will probably take a few more meetings before we get all the details worked out enough for it. But yeah, we'll keep going on with this, because it sounds like there are benefits in doing this. So I hope that you've enjoyed this, and thank you for listening, and goodbye.